You can begin your presentation, Victoria.
Good afternoon. My name is Victoria Wright, and I am a Senior Certification Officer at the Department of Procurement Services. And I'm going to go over the most general things for how to become certified and how to fill out the certification application. And I am willing to take all questions at the end. So our goal for this workshop is to give you the benefits of certification, tell you who qualifies for certification, what are the requirements, what the application process is like, give you the required information and documents, and what happens after your application has been submitted. So we'll go through all 6 of those things. So DPS is the contracting authority for the procurement of goods and services for the city of Chicago. We work together as a team and with our customers to guarantee an open, fair, and timely process by establishing, communicating, and enforcing superior business practices. What's going on? Jackie,
Yes, are you okay?
I can't get it to go to the next slide.
Down at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, are there some arrows?
There we go. No, I guess I got to click the mouse, but okay. So
Okay.
several agencies do certification, but for the city of Chicago, we do several certifications. So we do the minority-owned business enterprise, which is MBE. We do women-owned, which is WBE. We also have a veteran-owned business enterprise, which is BBE. We have the business enterprise for people with disabilities, which is BEPD. Those 4 are the local programs that are run by the city of Chicago. DBE, which is Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, and ACDBE, which is Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. Those 2 are federal programs. And most of the work for DBE and ACDBE are done at the airport, for Metra, CTA, basically transportation agencies. But DBE and ACDBE are both federal programs. The benefits of certification. So the certification process provides visibility. Once you're certified, we do put your information in a directory, which is accessible to the general public and to all prime contractors. There are minority, women, veteran, and disadvantaged business participation goals on City of Chicago projects and for sister agencies. There are businesses in the private sector that also seek out certified firms for products and/or services. So with your name being in a database, and there are 2 different databases, the local program has a database and the DBE, program has its own database. And I do want to stress that if you want to do MBE, if you're a male woman, if you want to do MBE and WBE, you should do them at the same time. And you can also submit a DBE application at the same time. The DBE and ACDBE are free, and MBE and WBE, the application fee is $250, but it's only one fee. So even if you ask for MBE and WBE, it's still $250. The city of Chicago also has a target market program, which provides exclusive bidding to certified minority and women-owned business enterprises. This allows certified businesses to take 100% of the contract because there are no subcontractor goals associated with the project. So most of the time, it's a large contract that a prime contractor, a large company might bid and win the contract. And then there's a set aside for MBEs and WBEs. But on a target market, the contract is only for small companies and small businesses. So you wouldn't have to compete with the bigger companies if it's a target market. And that does happen occasionally with different contracts where only small businesses are allowed to bid. Who are the qualifying groups? African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, Asian Indian, women, veterans, and persons with disabilities. Other individuals can provide proof of social and economic disadvantages. They would have to go before our affirmative action board and be able to prove that they have been social and economically disadvantaged. So if you don't fall in one of these groups, you can go before the affirmative action board to say that, yes, you should be able to become certified. The veteran-owned business enterprise is one of our newer certifications, but it is for veteran-owned business enterprises. And a veteran means a person who has served in the United States Armed Forces and was discharged or separated under honorable conditions. You must be able to submit a DD 214 or a DD 215 to qualify as a VBE. And if you do not have those two, one of those two documents, you would have to contact the VA administration before we would consider you a veteran who was honorably discharged. So what are the requirements? You must be a local business, and your principal place of business has to be in Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, or Will counties. So this applies to the MBE, WBE, VBE, and BEPD program. For DBE, you can be anywhere in Illinois. So because it's a federal program, DBE and ACDBE, your main location can be located anywhere in Illinois. But for MBE, WBE, VBE, and BEPD, your main location, your headquarters, must be in Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, or Will counties. You must be 51%, the company must be 51% owned and controlled and managed by a minority. A minority, a woman, a veteran, or a person with a disability. So when we say 51%, if someone else has 49%, the 51% owner must be one of these things: a minority, a woman, or a veteran, or a disabled person. And you have to be able to control the company more so than the 49% owner. If any of your documents show that it's 50-50, that is not what certification is about. Someone who is a minority has to be controlling the company, the majority of the company. I always tell people, and I know in marriage it's okay to be 50-50, but in certification, somebody has to be 51%. For DBE and ACDBE, the owner must be socially or economically disadvantaged. So what's required? There is a business size standard. The size standard on the MBE and WBE and VBE side, your gross receipts cannot exceed 41 million, averaged over 3 years for non-construction. Construction firms, we use the SBA size standard, and this number just went up, averaged over 7 years. So they, for construction codes, any codes that start with 236, 237, or 238, we consider the construction code. And we now divide by 7 years, which gives bigger firms an opportunity to stay in the program longer. If you don't have 7 years of tax returns, you just tell us why you don't have 7 years of tax returns. If you've only been in business 5 years, then you have to let us know that. But this is a benefit to the vendors that we do divide by 7 for construction. And non-construction, you cannot be over 41 million over 3 years. DBE gross receipts are subject to the SBA size standard averaged over 3 years, not to exceed 26.2. That is going to change this year. I believe they're going to 5 years, a size standard averaged over 5 years instead of 3 years. And the SBA size standard is going to go up for DBE. I'm not sure what that number is right at this moment, but it is going up. ACDB cannot exceed 56.4 million averaged over 3 years. So ACDBE is basically a concession that is located at the airport. And that number is higher because most concessionaires do make a lot of money being in the airport. So the number is higher on the ACDBE side than it is on the DBE side. A personal net worth statement is required for MBE, WBE, and BBE construction companies. So only construction companies are required to do a P&W on the MBE side. The P&W is currently 2.3 million for construction. And this is evaluated annually by the city of Chicago. So the P&W can go up. The personal net worth can go up, and we do a calculation annually for that number to go up. On the DBE side, the threshold applies to all people seeking certification, and that number is currently 1.3 million. And this is also adjusted periodically by the U.S. Department of Transportation. On DBE, we only ask for a P&W with your original application. On MBE, WBE, and VBE, if you are a construction company, you do have to submit a P&W annually. So only on the DBE are you required, you are only required to submit the P&W with your original application. The calculation of your personal net worth excludes the value of your primary home. I see this most people calculate the P&W wrong, but if you own a home that you actually live in, we are not asking for the value of that home on your P&W. Now, if you have a property that you don't live in and that is only for income, then we do need the value of that property. So most people mistakenly put the home that they live in, and we do not need that number. We only need numbers, values of property that you consider income property. And I want to stress that a P&W, you want to keep that number low. So you don't have to list that you have a fur coat or that you have a diamond ring. So you want to keep your P&W below what is acceptable. So for MW is the 2.3 million, and for the DBE is the 1.3 million. So business formations that qualify. I'm not gonna go through every single one because if you're on this call, I'm gonna assume that you are a business that has already organized itself, but we do allow sole proprietors to become certified. We do allow general partnerships, which is 2 or more people who go into business together without any formalities. There's usually just a partnership agreement. On a sole proprietor, the company is usually using the owner's name, and they may have an assumed name certificate. So if you're Joe Smith doing business as Smith Roofing Company, we are going to expect you to have an assumed name certificate that you get from the state. But we will certify sole proprietors. Corporations. A corporation is treated as an entity that is completely separate from its shareholders. So what we're looking for when you say that you are a corporation is good standing with the state. You should have a state license that is active. You must have articles of incorporation. You must have a certificate of incorporation. You must have bylaws of corporation, and you should have stock certificates. So what's most important out of this information is the articles of incorporation, your stock certificates, which you can go buy stock certificates from Office Depot. And if you're the only owner, you would just put that you have 100% of the stock. If you're two people, that's when it's more important, because somebody should have the majority of the stock. And the minority person is who we're looking for on those stock certificates to have the majority. Meeting minutes, and I always tell people, you can have a meeting alone. If you're a 100% owner, it's just you writing down what you want to accomplish in your company, when you want to accomplish it, how soon you want to accomplish it. A meeting minute with a partner can be the two of you getting together and making plans for your business. But those are the type of things we're looking for if you put that you are a corporation. We accept limited partnerships and we accept LLCs. So the limited partners are more like stakeholders in a corporation. They are not liable for the debts beyond their own ownership, and you should have an assumed name certificate of limited partnership. For an LLC, and we know that most times people are either a corporation, a LLC, or a sole proprietor. If you are LLC, we are going to look for an operating agreement. We're going to look for your articles of organization. And who is your managing partner? It should be the 51% owner, or whoever owns the majority of stock should be the managing partner. But we are definitely going to be asking you for an operating agreement and articles of organization. And of course, your state license should be active. Suppliers, distributors, and brokers. So we get questions about this all the time, of the difference between the three. So the most important thing is having stock, having a warehouse, having whatever it is that you're selling. We should be able to come see it in a warehouse or in a separate place, or even if you have a warehouse with an office. So a supplier must be a regular dealer, which is a firm that owns, operates, or maintains a store, warehouse, or other establishment in which materials, supplies, articles, or equipment are bought, kept in stock, and regularly sold or leased to the public in the usual course of business. A distributor is a firm that's operating as a distributor, are identified as having a direct relationship with a manufacturer to distribute its goods and products within a specified territory or region. The perfect example for distributors is anybody who sells Avon. So most of the time, people who sell Avon have an agreement with Avon to sell in a certain area. They don't necessarily have a warehouse, but they're getting their goods from Avon, and either Avon ships it to them or they ship it directly to whoever buys it. But an Avon, a person who sells Avon is a distributor of Avon products. We do not certify brokers. Firms acting as a broker are not eligible for certification as an MBE, WBE, BBE, or BEPB, but you can be eligible for certification as a DBE. So a person or entity that fills orders by purchasing or receiving supplies from a third-party supplier rather than out of its own existing inventory and provides no substantial service other than acting as a conduit between his or her supplier and his or her customer is considered a broker. So if you just had a book and someone could come look in that book and buy something out the book and it gets shipped directly to them, you are a broker. And we do not certify brokers. That is not considered a commercially useful function. So if you ever hear that term, if it's not a commercially useful function, it's meaning that anybody could go to that book without you and buy things and have it shipped directly to them. So we do not certify brokers. DBE, the federal program, they certify brokers. So if you are a broker, you can only get certified on the DBE side. The online application, we no longer take anything in hard copy. Years ago, back in 2015, we used to take hard copy. We are happy not to take hard copy applications because everything is secured in the online application, which can be found at www.chicago.mwdbe.com. Like I said, the application fee is $250. The federal program is free. BEPD is also free. You have to let us know that you're BEPD. You have to select BEPD, but if you're BEPD and MBE, we're going to charge you for the M. We're going to charge you for the W. But if you're only BEPD, then your application will be free. So after you submit your application, you will receive an emailed invoice. That invoice comes about 7 days, within 7 days of you hitting submit. And I want to say actually from the time we receive it in our office, because once you hit submit does not mean that we're processing it immediately. So we have to receive it in the office, and then someone sends out an email with an invoice attached. We will not review your application until you pay the $250 application fee. You can pay the $250 at any of the city's payment centers or online. You must bring the invoice when paying at the payment centers. The second page of your invoice has the website address to make an online payment. So you have to, we don't take checks in the office. We don't do any of that. Everything has to be done at a payment center or online. So the information needed in your application should be your contact information. You have to make sure that your email is correct, your phone number is correct. If you change that after you submit the application, you need to contact us and let us know that it's changed so it can be changed on your application. That is how we get in touch with you if we have questions. If your email changed and you don't receive the emails, that is not our fault. We have to know where we can contact you. You need to let us know what type of certification you're seeking. The M, the W, the VBE, BEPD, DBE, or ACDBE. Like I said, DBE and ACDBE is a separate application, but you can submit them both. So you can finish the M and W and then go into a new application and submit the DBE and ACDBE at the same time. If you know you want both, it makes more sense to submit them both at the same time so that one officer can review all your documents and confirm or deny, hopefully not deny, that you qualify for both at the same time. You don't want to go through this process twice. You should always submit, if you want DBE at the same time, submit both of those applications at the same time. BEPD requires a Schedule G form. A Schedule G is a document that you have to have filled out by your doctor that says what your disability is, any paperwork that they can submit to say what your disability is. That form goes to the mayor's office for people with disabilities. We do not see that information. They review it and they tell us yes or no, this person is disabled. So before you even hit submit on the application, you should send the Schedule G to the mayor's office for people with disabilities. And if you are considering filling out the application for BEPD, you can call our office to get the email address. We used to mail everything in, but because of COVID and people working from home, we now send everything through email. So we can give you the email address to send in the BEPD Schedule G, and then you submit the application at the same time. Like I said before, BBE requires a DD-214 or a DD-215, so that information should be submitted with the application. We need ownership information. Who owns the company? What's the percentage for each person that owns the company? Do you have employees? It's okay if you don't have employees, but if you do, we need to know who they are and what are their roles in the company. You should have an org chart to show who's doing what and what their titles are. We need facility information, which means a lease. If you have an office, we need a lease, office lease for your office. If you work from home, that is okay, but we will need a copy of your mortgage statement or your lease for your apartment, but we do need information even if you work from home. We need financial information. You're going to be asked to submit your business bank account statement. The first business bank account statement is the best because then we can see that you opened a business bank account and what your equity contribution was. How much money did you use to open that bank account? Licenses. If you are in any business that requires a license, you have to submit that at the time of the application. If you're a plumber, if you're an electrician, if you do anything in construction, anything that starts with 236, 237, or 238, we need a general contractor's license. And even if you say, but I'm not a general contractor, the city of Chicago requires all construction companies to have a GC license, and we require it for certification. I hear it all the time. Well, I know a company that doesn't have a GC license, but they're not certified. I'm not saying that there aren't companies who run their company without a GC license, but if you want certification and you're doing construction, you must have the GC license at the time of your application. Proof of eligibility documents, we need a resume from all owners. There's one owner, two owners, three owners, we need those resumes. We need to know your experience. We need to know your education. That's why we want the resumes. Evidence of executed contracts and or invoices. So what, if you're a landscaper, who have you done work for? Do you have contracts in landscaping? Do you have invoices that you can prove that have been paid invoices? That's proof that you've done the work. You must submit a driver's license and or, well, you have to have a driver's license or a proof of ID. If you don't have a driver's license, it could be just an ID. And you must submit a birth certificate or a passport. So it's two pieces of ID, basically. A driver's license or an ID card, but we also must have a birth certificate or a passport. Your proof of equity contribution is how much money did you use to start the business. If you only use the money that you spent on your state license or the money you use to incorporate, usually there's a dollar amount that you have to put in the bank to start a business bank account. So we look for that to see how much money did you use for that bank account. We need a business bank account signatory card. That tells us who has permission to take money out of that account. Of course, if it's you and you're the 100% owner, but we see another name on your bank account, we're going to want to know who that is. Because why does someone else have access to your bank account? You explain it, you tell us why, and that's what we want to know. But you have to submit that from your bank. An org chart. If it's only you, then we just put yourself and you tell us who you are and what your title is. An equipment list. Okay, if you're a consultant, you might not have an equipment list other than a laptop, a keyboard, a cell phone. But if you're a janitorial service, we expect you to have cleaning supplies. If you are a mason, we expect you to have masonry supplies. So equipment, we expect you to have the equipment that is used in your field of work. Loan information. If you have a loan, We want to know who you have the loan from and are you paying it back. If you don't have any loans, that's fine as well. Financial documents. So for non-construction, we need 3 years of federal business tax returns, all pages of your tax returns. If it's construction, we need 7 years of tax returns. And this is for MBE and WBE. Did I do that twice? Okay, I guess I need to change that. So for DBE, it's only 3 years of federal and individual tax returns, not on the construction side. They don't ask for 7 years on the DBE side. And that might change. Like I said, DBE is making some changes starting this month on what they look for in tax returns. So that might be different in next month's workshop. We also ask for W-2s and 1099s. Of course, W-2s are for full-time employees and 1099s are for contract employees. Of course, we already talked about the personal net worth statement is for construction firms and for all new DBE and ACDBE firms. So after your application is submitted, the process can take approximately 90 days from the day we receive all documents. So you should always be looking for a request for information from our office. And once we have all the documents that we need, and trust me, we have already started. Once we have asked you for more documents, we've already started our review and the process can take between 90 to 120 days. So if you already know there's a bid that you're trying to get, we tell people don't wait until the last minute to start filling out this application. Do not wait till the last minute. Your application is checked to make sure we have all the documents. Documents are thoroughly audited. Please believe that we are reading everything that you send. I know some people think, oh, nobody's going to look at this. I'm just going to submit what I have. If you submit tax returns and there's some pages missing, we're going to ask for those pages. You may receive a site visit. All construction, supplier, and distributors will receive a site visit. If there's something in your application that we don't understand or we want to lay our eyes on, we may ask for a site visit. But all DBE and ACDBE receive a site visit. All new applications in the DBE program receive a site visit. On the M&W local program, is for all construction, suppliers, and distributors. Maintaining your certification. All vendors must submit an annual no change affidavit. The MBE local program has gone through a change as well. So coming soon, it is supposed to be made public that the MBE local program will no longer be doing recertifications. So after 5 years, you will not do a recert. You will just continue with the no change affidavit. That is brand new, and that should be made public soon. So in this PowerPoint, I have put all vendors must submit an annual no change affidavit. You must notify the certification division of the Department of Procurement Services regarding organization changes, business name changes, ownership changes within 10 business days of the change. So if if you just changed and maybe you brought on a new owner who has 20% of your company, you need to let us know that within 10 business days. If your no change affidavit is due next week, okay, you can submit that information in your no change affidavit. But if it's more than 10 days out, you should submit that information as a change request. So a change request is letting us know your address changed. It's letting us know if your business name changed. It's letting us know if there was an ownership change. But with the ownership change, you have to submit all the required documents to show that the person bought stock or if they were gifted stock, or how you decided that the ownership was going to change. Whatever paperwork you have for the ownership change must be submitted. Expansion of services. You must submit your request in writing, and it is called an expansion request. You do that online just like you do an application. You have to include the added category that you want. Which new NAICS code are you requesting? And you have to include all the relevant documentation to tell us why you should have that new code. If it needs a license, please submit the license. Copies of past or present contracts, any needed insurance, and if it's something on your resume that will prove that you can work in this NAICS code, submit your resume with that expansion request. So what you need to know, the top 10 reasons applications are denied: unsubstantiated or questionable ownership or control. If you are 80% and a non-minority is 20%, but that 20% owner has way more experience than you, that's questionable. So you can be denied for not having the expertise to run the company. An unclear description of critical functions and who is responsible. That goes back to, can you run the company? Do you know about landscaping? Do you know about masonry? If you don't, we're going to say that you cannot run this company because you cannot control the critical areas of the business. The company cannot substantiate where and or how the startup money was obtained. So I had a company several years ago where in the application they said they had a loan of $500,000 from another company, but they could not prove that they had paid a cent of the $500,000 back to the company. They were not on a payment plan, and the company that gave them the money was a non-minority company. So that's you cannot substantiate where that money came from, or if that other company is controlling your company because they gave you the money to open the company. Outside secondary employment takes the majority of the MBE enterprise time each day. So we do know that startups sometimes have a separate job. When you're new, you might need to have a second job, but we want to know how much time are you spending on your company compared to how much time you're spending on that job. And we will ask you that. How much time, what hours do you spend at your job, and what hours do you spend on your own company? But it is okay to have an outside job. The company is not located in one of the 6 county regions. And of course, that's for the local program. You cannot be in Kankakee, you cannot be in Indiana running the company. We expect you to be in one of the 6 counties that are approved for this program. The point of contact did not respond to requests for information in a timely manner. We'll usually send 2 RFIs, 15 days. You get 15 days to respond. If you don't respond to that, we'll send it again and give you another 15 days. If we didn't submit all the information in the first 15 days, but you submitted some of it, we'll give you 10 days. And then down to 5 days. So we're trying to give you a total of 30 days to submit any information that we request from you. Inconsistencies with the applicant firm name among various documents. So if your articles of incorporation say Smith Carpentry, but your tax returns say William Carpentry, we're going to want to know why. Did the company's name change? Who is William Carpentry? Who is Smith Carpentry? Are your articles of incorporation the same as your tax returns? All of the names of the company should be the same on all documents. Problems with contracts: missing, incomplete, not signed or executed by the qualifying owner, or have no corresponding proof of payment. So your contracts or your invoices should definitely have the scope of services that you provided. The contract should correlate with the NAICS codes that you are asking for. Required documents are not attached with no explanation as why it's not attached. If we ask you for employees and you don't have employees, you should upload something saying, I don't have any employees. If you supposed to submit 3 years of tax returns and you only submit 2, you should say, I'm only been in business for 2 years. So you have to tell us why you're not submitting the required documents. 3 to 7 years of tax returns were not submitted signed as required. So even though most days or most years, we don't sign our tax returns because everything is submitted electronically. We're asking you to print it out, sign it on that first sheet, and upload it with your signature on it. And you're going to be asked for all pages of either 3 years of tax returns or 7 years of tax returns. And you should sign in the required area. Questions?
All right. Thank you so much, Victoria, for sharing that most important information with us. And I did receive a couple of questions. So if you just give me a second, let me just see if there is anything that I can say here. If I have not been in business for 3 years, do I use personal tax returns?
Yes, you have to submit individual tax returns. Even if you don't have business tax returns, you will definitely be required to submit individual tax returns for 3 years. Yes.
And can you repeat information about current change to MBE recertification slash annual reporting?
So at the end of 2021, there were some changes to the program. In the past, after 5 years, you had to do a recertification and pay the $250 again. On the DBE side, they didn't do research. They just, after you got certified, you always only did a no change affidavit. And so the MBE will be going towards the same rule as DBE with no recertification. So there will be no more recertifications after 5 years. You will only pay the $250 with the initial application. You will not have to pay that $250 again after 5 years. So if this is your first time getting certified, you don't have to worry about it because in 5 years, you will not have to do a recert. But everyone will have to do a no change affidavit, and you will have to submit a copy of your tax returns each year.
And Rodney, can you send out the information to them of where they can find this this PowerPoint after this class and the recordings? And right now, those were. Hold on one second. Let me see if someone else. Oh no, that's Rodney sending his things out. Let me see if there's anyone else that has a question. If you have a question, feel free to use the Q&A panel and put your question in the Q&A panel. I will, the person that wants to connect, I will try to get your email. If you want to send me your email, and I will connect with you offline if your question doesn't relate to this workshop. So you can feel free to send that directly to me, jackie.umbles@cityofchicago.org. I guess that's it. Victoria, you have done, let me just make one more round of checks just to make sure, but I guess you have done a marvelous job as you always do. And just a couple of more questions. There's one question that says, balance sheet for first year should be submitted if no tax return completed.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. And let me just make sure there's no. And the question, feel free to use the Q&A panel, but there was a question that was asked to me directly. Is air duct cleaning considered construction?
That's HVAC, and I don't know the number for it off the top of my head. I would have to go to the NAICS code webpage, but I'm gonna say yes. I'm not positive, but that is heating and cooling. So I'm gonna say yes.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, if
And can
I'm not
you,
sure,
oh, I'm
I'm not
sorry.
sure who's asking, but Jackie, you can send out my email address to that person and I can answer for them.
Sure, we'll go back to your first slide in just a second.
Okay.
There was one other question. Can you apply for MBE and WBE at the same time? I
Yes,
think you covered that at the beginning,
yeah,
but
I covered that at the beginning. You
yeah.
definitely should do both at the same time.
All right. And okay, there was a question that said that the person is the only employee. Do they have to submit a formal payroll system, or do they have to have a formal payroll system?
If you're the only employee, I'm gonna say no. If you have employees, yeah, we want to see that you're paying your employees. But if you're the only employee, then no.
All righty. And I think we have covered everything, and they gave you an excellent presentation, Victoria.
Thank
Uh,
you.
so yeah. Um, so as we close here, if you have a few more seconds, if you have a question, feel free to send it to us so that we can get it answered for you. If not, I want to thank Victoria for sharing that great information. Please take advantage of the information, and I always say, if you can and you know someone who can, spread the word, because this helps in the process. That's why we have this workshop. This helps in the process so that you do not have a long time to wait, and the representatives are not back and forth in trying to get information. You know what is required, and it shortens your time. What is the compensation schedule?
Say the question again.
It says, what is a compensation schedule?
Basing is basically just what you're paying people. It's like a payroll, or if you're paying vendors. So sometimes you might pay somebody to do your accounting, you might pay somebody to do your marketing, you might pay a lawyer. So how much are you paying those people? We don't go too deep in that into the application. So I'm not sure if they're in the application and it's asking for that, but that's what that is, compensation. Who you paying and what are you paying them for?
And if you are DBE certified in Chicago, can you use it in other, and I take it's other states or such?
You cannot use the MBE in Indiana. So other states have their own certification program. Now, if you take DBE and ACDBE, you can use that in other states, but you have to be certified here. And then you can go to Indiana, you can go any other state and ask for the DBE in the other state. And it's like once you get certified in your home state, you can get DBE certified anywhere else in any other state and vice versa. So if somebody lived in Indiana, they could come to Illinois and get DBE certified. NBE and WBE, that's a local program. So it's only for the counties that we cover. The only thing is that you can use that, not just, you can use it for government agencies as well as private agencies, because I always tell people, don't stop with city governments or city agencies, because you might want to try to get work with hospitals, you might try to get work with universities, nursing homes. All these places usually have some type of diversity program, and you can use your NBE, WBE outside of government agencies.
Two quick questions, and I'm saying it this way intentionally because I think this is what they were asking directly. Um, do you have to live, you personally, have to live in Chicago? And can you use your home address for business?
You can use your home address as a home office, but you don't have to live in Chicago. You have to live in the counties that we went through, which was Cook, Lake, McHenry, Will. Now you're testing me because I can't remember all 6 of them. But you have to live in one of those counties. It does not have to be Chicago.
Mhm. And I think that was the last one, Victoria. I think you're good. I think we answered everything that they were asking. If you could go back to your first slide, so that, and you can leave that up when we, and it has your email address on it, then they will be able to jot that down before we sign out. But I do want to thank, while she's searching for that, I want to thank Vic. Oh, I forgot, yours doesn't have that on there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We used to have it on there, but it doesn't have it on there anymore. But go ahead, Victoria, if you want to give that information out.
My email is victoria.wright, WRIGHT, at cityofchicago.org.
And I do want to thank Victoria for giving that great information and allowing us to ask questions so that we can make sure that we understand. For the attendees, I thank you for taking part in this workshop, because we are trying as best we can for 2022 to make sure that you have all the information that you need to go forth to participate in the various opportunities that we have at the city of Chicago. So if we can help you in any way, such as we can give workshops that give information that is useful to you, please let us know that. There's an evaluation at the end that you will see when you sign out. So feel free to use that box and tell me the topics you want to hear about, and we'll make sure that we kind of insert some of that information in our presentation so that you have that. But with that said, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Stay safe, stay well, wash your hands, social distance, wear your mask. What is it? Get vaccinated, get the second vaccination, get your booster shot, get whatever it takes. So this can be over and we can sit in a room and network with you and give you this information in person. So thank you for sharing your time with us today. Have a wonderful rest of your day and take care. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you.